Hi, it's Dr. Bette Robin with the Dentistry Rising podcast. You might know me as a dental practice broker from Orange County, California. I am a dentist as well as an attorney and broker, and it's my goal at this point to help you get where you want to go with your practices, to help inspire you, lead you in the right direction, and motivate you. Good morning. Here we are almost to the end of January 2020, and I'm going to take some time today to answer some of the questions I've received throughout this month, the ones I think that have kind of universal appeal, with the hopes of helping. Always send me questions if you'd like me to answer them in this kind of forum, and I'll tell you what I think. And that's what it is, just what I think. Okay, number one. How much does the physical location of my practice affect its value? Well, you know the old real estate maxim, location, location, location. I think the location of your practice hugely affects the value in several different ways. One, where it geographically is, what city, what area of the city can matter a lot. I mean, just think houses. I think that's a good example. I mean, it just matters. People argue with me about that, and they say, well, I'm in XYZ remote location, and I'm making 3 times as much as some of the fancy Newport Beach dentists. And they're absolutely right. But when it comes to a sale, it's just not as easy of a sale. Buyers like these glitzy locations. So I think the geographical location matters a lot. Then going on from there, I think the location matters when it's easy for patients, it's easy to find, it's easy to park, probably a well-known medical dental area, the building's physically appealing, well kept up, doesn't have trash laying around. All those things are really important. When you walk up, does it look nice, well kept? Someplace you'd be proud to go. The size of the space is also important. It's a mistake to rent too much space, in my opinion. People get very tired of paying very high lease payments. I just saw someone that was getting a really good deal on 2,700 square feet. 2,700 square feet is a huge amount of space for a dentist starting up. So most dental offices are like 1,200 to 1,700, and you probably should be somewhere in that range because that lease payment just keeps on going. And then talking about leases, I harp on that a lot, but the location of your practice and the lease are really, really important as well. Just make sure you have a reasonable price for the lease, that you can renew it, that you just don't have, any lease issues. So I think the physical location of the practice affects value a lot. Number 2, how do I know when to trust a seller and when not to? I mean, trust, but verify. Never just blatantly trust a seller or anyone else for that matter, but you should have a good feeling about the seller and not feel a knot in your stomach. I think human beings are really good at telling whether or not someone is lying. So definitely use your natural intuition. If you're feeling good about things, everything seems to be flowing in a good direction, and then you get past that, anything even marginally important should be in the sales contract. Anything that the staff isn't leaving to the best of the seller's knowledge, whatever it is. Whatever you're basing your decision on, the seller will be around for a transition. Whatever it is, it absolutely needs to be in that sales contract. Okay, number 3. Why won't brokers give me the tax returns of a practice I'm considering? I don't know if that was personally directed at me. It could have been, but I'll tell you what I think. It depends on when you are asking. Now, I never email a seller's tax return to like 30 people coming to an open house. and I never have them available at an open house. I mean, are you willing to give the seller and me or the broker your tax returns and credit score right up front so you can show you can buy? At this point, you guys are just dancing. Nothing else has happened. So I actually think if a broker doesn't require at least some kind of offer from a buyer, they're selling out the seller. I mean, almost no one wants their tax returns emailed to numerous people. And I, as a broker, do try to avoid it, where I'm giving it to one or two, maybe three people at the very, very most. But if you've made an offer and that offer was accepted, you've started the lending process, then you absolutely should expect to get the seller's complete tax returns for the last 3 years and basically every other relevant document you ask for, like bank statements, general ledgers, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, whatever it is. At that point, I don't think there should be any limitation on what you can ask for in a due diligence situation because you want to know what's going on, and you should at that point. Now, I do sometimes get irritated with people that ask for info 5, 7, 10 years old. Lenders do not require it because it's not at all relevant. It's just a waste of time. You absolutely need to focus on what's happening in that practice right now. Current calendar year is the most important. And I absolutely would require a P&L up to the last completed quarter of the calendar year if I were representing the buyer. And the second thing that's the most important is the last year. So right now, we're at the end of January, so you'd be looking at the P&L for 2019, and then, very shortly a P&L for January if you're going to buy something right away. A lot of things change as time goes by, like employees could be lost, lease payment rent could go up, insurance, composition of the practice could be changed. What happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago is old news. Okay, number 3, when should I start from scratch rather than buying a practice? I got a couple emails on this subject this week. One person wanted to start from scratch because she would have time with her 3 kids. Okay, bottom line, starting from scratch takes way, way, way more time than buying a practice because nothing is in place. You have no patients, no staff. You've got to figure out everything, what computer system you want. I don't know. I have started from scratch twice. One time totally, completely from scratch. And one time in Claremont, I took over the abandoned space of a dentist. So I basically did have operatories and that kind of thing. So that definitely helped. But don't get misled to think that starting from scratch is easier or less expensive because both are just not true. Starting from scratch is the most difficult way to get going and the most expensive. Now, some of you are cut out for it, like I kind of was. I don't think I would do it again, but I made it work. But I was out to like Rotary meetings, all kinds of stuff, every morning, every night, at lunch, just trying to gather patients and figure out business a little bit. So I also think people can sign bad leases when they're starting from scratch or get seduced into taking too much space because it's a low rent payment. I don't think you should ever take too much space. And I say too much probably, at the very beginning is more than 1,500 square feet. Rarely do people need more than that. In fact, I saw a post on LinkedIn this week that I commented on that somebody that thought you need more space than you do. It really doesn't depend on the space. I mean, some people produce 100,000 per operatory. You don't need space unless you have a huge like Denti-Cal type pedo clinic. You might need more space. But in general, somewhere between 1,200 and 1,700 square feet is about right for most people. Okay, and the last question, which kind of hard to answer. But number 5, what should I do with the proceeds of my practice sale? And this was obviously for someone more in the seller camp. I think it depends on where you think taxes are going. A lot of people or a lot of financial planners will encourage you to put the proceeds in your retirement plan. But if you think, like I do, the taxes are going to keep going up here for a while, then I would rather pay the taxes, have the money scot-free, and not have to worry about taxes. But if you think taxes are going down, I guess the retirement plan is the best vehicle or something like that. Because a retirement plan or a 1031 exchange, they're tax deferred vehicles. They're not tax avoidance vehicles. And right now, I mean, taxes are bad, but not as bad as they could get. So if I were selling or coming to a big bolus of money right now, and probably at my age, which is early 60s, I'd probably pay the tax and then I don't have to worry about it because I just think they're not going to go down for 10, 20, maybe way more years. But who knows? I don't have a crystal ball like you guys don't either. So those are the questions I got, like I said, that I thought were kind of most relevant. And if you want to send me questions, you can do that to my email, drrobin@bettyrobin.com, or you can DM me on Instagram. Okay, let's have a great February.